Sharpening is the technique when the knife is truly dull.
Yeah, and the knife gets truly dull, and you know when it's truly dull when a honing steel no longer does the trick. Sharpening, unlike honing, does not realign the cutting edge. It instead files steel away to create a whole new edge. Hello, I'm Derek with Wüsthof.
And I'm Megan with Wüsthof. We're going to demonstrate the technique of sharpening using a ceramic and a diamond rod. But first, let's find out what the difference between the two is.
So the difference between the two is one is much more fine than the other. So you've got two different types of materials. So depending on your needs, you would buy one versus the other. So a ceramic rod is much more fine. And with it being more fine, it's going to remove less steel. So it is something that can be used on a slightly more regular basis. As where the diamond, which is an industrial diamond, is quite coarse. This is something that is used when your knife is perhaps turned into a bit of a butter knife. So let's go through how we use this thing.
Okay.
So Megan, you're right-handed, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in your left hand, go ahead and grab the ceramic rod first. Okay, so let's get that tip straight down onto this leather mat and just grab the top nice and natural. Okay, you've got a nice firm straight up and down line here. Feels comfortable?
It does.
Okay, and in your dominant hand, go ahead and grab the chef's knife. All right, so now what we want to do is establish an edge angle. But before we do that, what's the edge angle of our chef's knife?
14.5 degrees per side.
That right? Okay, robot time.
I know, definitely.
How do we get that angle? There's two ways to do it. And let's start with the first one. You're pretty much already there. If we go perpendicular, we have what angle?
90.
Okay, let's close the gap in half. We get
45.
again in half.
22.5.
Maybe come in about a quarter.
Okay.
We're kind of there, right?
Yep.
Now, let's try a different one. If you go flat to the, there we go, exactly, flat to the rod. Now you see the thickness of the spine here on the chef's knife?
Yes.
Come out, double that width.
Okay.
Now what you want to do is you want to very gently just stroke down the length of the steel. And as you descend down the steel, you're drawing the blade back to the point where when you get to the bottom of the steel, the tip of the knife is also at the tip of the steel. So go ahead and just very gently draw that back.
Okay, here we go.
Excellent. Now let's repeat that on the back side. That's really good. Now, go ahead and repeat that for about another 5 or 6 times. And as Megan's repeating that, you're going to notice she's alternating sides. And the reason we want to alternate sides is that it keeps the best possible balance. Because she's not a machine, this is how we keep that edge as straight as possible. That's really nice. Why don't we jump to the diamond steel here?
Okay, sounds good.
So the diamond steel, the technique is exactly the same. The difference is we've got a real oval face here. And the point of the oval face is we have more surface coverage, which makes it a little bit easier and it is much more efficient, but it also means it's more aggressive. So we're looking at about a 400 grit on the Japanese scale versus a 3000 grit on the Japanese scale. So very dramatic, but go ahead, it's the exact same methodology.
Oh, gosh, I can kind of hear that difference.
Oh yeah, right? That's excellent. So, when do we want to do this?
Well, for sharpening, if you're regularly honing your knives for that regular maintenance, you're probably only going to need to do it maybe once a year. But it will typically depend on how often you're using your knives.
Keep in mind that this is a tool and you need to be in tune with your tool, which means that you decide what is sharp and what is not sharp.
That's true.